Welcome to my channel, John's Retirement Journey and Travel. This will be another meeting of the Retiring Club. I want to welcome everyone who's been coming by watching the videos. In this meeting of the Retiring Club, we're going to be talking about risk in retirement planning. The sequence of return risks is a danger that poor market performance early in retirement will rapidly deplete your portfolio because you are actively withdrawing money to live on. And market losses force you to sell more shares. This permanently shrinks your asset base, leaving less capital to recover when the market rebounds. The COVID-19 lockdown triggered the fastest bear market in history. Between February 12th and March 23rd of 2020, the Dow Jones plunged by 37%, wiping out trillions in market value and forcing the multiple trading halts. However, massive fiscal and monetary intervention caused induces to rebound, returning to pre-pandemic levels by the late 2020. Talking about the market recovering, the biggest thing about that is how long does this stuff take to take effect? And here's my take on it. I'm 50. I was 50 years old, and at that time, I had a Morgan Stanley IRA that had reached $79,400. And by the end of the month of March, it had went down to $58,430. That's a $20,970 loss. If terminated long time during COVID, where would you get your cash? That's the question that I asked myself. And I came up with unemployment, which you have to file for that and get that started. Your side hustles where the stadium closed down. Um, you might have been able to do some gig work delivering packages and foods and stuff, but and I have highlighted savings and fixed income. That's normally where most of us will go to once we have a job loss or an event where we need our cash. My trip to Egypt was canceled. I recovered the funds and it went into a 12-month CD at 0.25%. That's when I first started. I got a CD over at the credit union. It was valued at $3,000. I might have made about $30 or $40 off of it for the first 12-month period. But that's when I started saving because I had looked at that loss and said, well, what would I do? How much cash did I have? And I didn't have any. Um, so I started to building a fixed income bucket, better known as bucket number one. I defined the problem needs liquid cash to access. I needed to have money from someplace to access. And the vehicles that I had available were the 401k, the individual retirement account, and a high yield savings account with after tax money. The method of funding that I used first was skimming from equity to massive gains. So after COVID, the technology and a lot of the Mag 7, which I have a heavy mix on, started to rebound and grow massively. And by the time I turned 59 and a half, which would have been about a year later, maybe a year and a half later from that March of 2020, I was able to look at a number of investment funds and I went from zero to about $6,000 in the IRAs because what I did was I took some of the gains off the table. I call it skimming. And that skimming of the massive gains, it can really help you out down the road if you're able to track your investments. The next thing I did was turning off reinvestments of the capital gains and dividends paid out at the end of the year. So I had been working with an advisor. I told him what I wanted to do. He was in total disagreement that I needed to build fixed income, but he went ahead and put me in GOFXX and turned off the reinvestment of capital gains. And at Morgan Stanley, I used to have to call him to get him to purchase the next set of shares. That was eliminated once I closed that account out and moved it over because I didn't need his services anymore. It's set up to automatically reinvest. The interest dividends, which I'm getting 3.5%, as well as the capital gains that gets paid out from the sweep account. I can manually put it in if I choose to, and that's what I have been doing up till last year. Um, the 401k contributions placed in the money market investment pre-tax. So to build up that pre-tax fixed income, I was able to go with BlackRock short-term government notes. These investments were paying 5%. You were getting a guaranteed 5%, as high as 5.5. And what happened with me, as the balances increased and the interest rates went down because the balances had rose so much that the I still get 140, sometimes 150 a month in interest, which is really, really great because that could be used as a annuity type of payment over when I retire and get up in my 70s. I might want to have a, $300 check coming out and then deal with the taxes later on. And the last thing is the Roth and high yield savings accounts, deposits, safe investments or CDs, money markets, and short term notes. Um, at the same time, I started skimming and building up my first few $1,000s, which I wound up putting in was in Fidelity. I went with a JP Morgan CD at 5%, I think, as well as the GOFXX, which got up to about 5% in 2021, 2022, and 2023. It started going up all by itself, which I really, really like that. Um, I went ahead and found a couple investments and I opened up a second Roth account. And one of them was BlackRock's MDFOX. And then I had a technology fund and I started putting money into that. And I got that up to 5 grand quick because I spent the rest of the year, which would have been, I think it was 2021, financing that account. And after that, I was able to retire with a substantial amount of what I call guardrails. Well, I've had the fixed income. I kind of feel I got too much. I'm at 100 grand on pre-tax cash, and then I've got another right now at about 100K in the tax deferred, with 50,000 of it being waited to be deployed. So in this meeting of the retiring club, I just wanted to go ahead and cover this. And if you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and leave them with me. And I wanted to wish you a great day and thanks for watching. Take care.